Hi, this is going to be a first impressions video of the new Rigol DP832 195 watt triple output programmable power supply, and here's the box and I'm going to open it up. And yes, this will be a first impressions video, so if you're expecting a proper professional review video, this is not the thing for you. I know some people don't like the first impressions videos. Well, sorry, I like doing them, so we're going to do them. So let's take a look at this thing. The beautiful thing about this, it is $409 US, and it's a similar Australian price. It's about 420 or thereabouts. Quite cheap. Do not confuse it with the 832A. The 832A is a higher resolution model with a color display and some various software options, as we'll go into. Now, here we go. This thing, the thing about this power supply is that it, we've got a USB cable, by the way, Australian plug, and a quick start guide in here. Now, the thing about this power supply is that it is software upgradable. Now, the reason that I got that A10 power supply, if you remember the video of that some time back, we'll take a look at this. Let me just get it out of the box. I bought that A10 power supply. It was also just over the $400 mark, so the same price as this, but it was a precision power supply, you know, 0.05% class instrument, and it was much, you know, it was basically the cheapest precision triple output power supply you could get, and that's what I wanted, a precision triple output power supply. So let's get rid of the box, and that's why I didn't look at this one, because I thought this one was $700, and the 832A model is, but the 832 model, which we've got here, is only just over $400, and you can get a software upgrade for it, a high-res software upgrade option, which we'll take a look at, which I've got for this thing, by the way, which is only $90 or thereabouts for that. So basically $500 class triple output power supply, and oh, look at that. Isn't that sexy? Check that out. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. Now, somebody on the forum photoshopped a version of this. It's a Hello Kitty version, and it's absolutely hilarious. I'll have to include that in the video, I think. Absolutely hilarious. But yeah, look at this wanky, yeah, we do have a knob. It's not pushable though, bummer, but look at that wanky circular keypad arrangement. That's just ridiculous, really. But apart from that, I don't mind it at all. The rubber bumpers on here are a bit wanky too, but you know, they do the job. I don't know. You can take them off if you want, just undo them. Looks like they just unscrew, but anyway, it is a triple output power supply. But apart from the circular keypad arrangement, I do not like. It's got separate buttons, separate channel 1, 2 and 3 buttons, separate on-off buttons for each channel, all on-off, very nice, and a few utility buttons and some soft buttons, because it's got a 3.5 inch screen on it, and there is a difference between the 832 model and the 832A. The 832A has a full color screen, whereas this one's only mono, and it also has a different graphical user interface arrangement for displaying the voltages, and I actually prefer the DP832. I don't like it's sort of segmented into 3 segments like that on the 832A, but on the 832, as we'll see when we power this thing up, it's got them lined up 1, 2, 3 like that when we have a look. But anyway, it looks and feels very, very nice. I like it. Let's take a look at the back of it, and now here's the thing, as I said, this is a software upgradable unit, and it comes fully fitted with all the options standard, or well, with all the hardware built in, but then there's software upgradable. So RS-232's in there, the digital I/O's in there, USB device and host, and the LAN interface as well. But if you want the RS-232 and the LAN, you can, they don't work unless you install the software license key. I think that's about $120 for those two. The digital I/O is a $90 software option, and as I said, I've got I purchased also the high resolution option, which gives you an order of magnitude better resolution setting and reading back as well. So we'll take a look at that when we power it on, but we're ready to go. It is switchable. It is a linear power supply. It's not a switch mode supply, so I've got some real taps on the transformer here. It is set up for 230 volts out of the box. Nice. And I am a bit of a sucker for instruments that you can sit on the floor like this on the rubber feet, and you can get a right angle power cord out of this thing, and then you can operate it sitting on the floor. And I just find that incredibly useful for some scenarios. I've often used scopes and many other instruments like that on the floor when I haven't had enough bench space, or I'm using them you know, in a production facility or in some other some other scenario where that just works, and they've got that. Brilliant. And it does have a carry handle on one side. I think it weighs about 10 kilos or thereabouts, but it does. The strap feels excellent quality, so no problems at all. Thumbs up on the build quality, that's for sure. As I said, I purchased the high-res option, the high-res DP832, and that gives an order of magnitude better resolution. Now, I won't reveal my license key on here, but I don't think it matters even if I did, but apparently you've got to go to the website. It's got instructions here. You type in your key, which they give you here, and then your serial number of your unit, and then it gives you a code, which then you can, a license key, which then you can enter into your power supply, and bingo, you enable either the high res option, which I've got. That was only that's $90 option to turn it into equivalent to that ATEN power supply which I had. Now the ATEN power supply, I thought I would get used to it and use it, and it wouldn't be, you know, I'd just get used to it, wouldn't be a problem, but it just kept pissing me off every time I tried to use that thing. It was hopeless. I've sold that, and I've got this Rigol DP832, and it should be much better. I like the nice slim form factor. It is very long though. That, you know, what's that, 35 centimeters long, maybe 40 or something like that. That is a really deep power supply. So to fit it on your rack, let's see. Well, it fits on my rack nicely, so not a problem whatsoever. Now, as I said, this is about 195 watt total power supply, 30 volts, 3 amps, two separate isolated 30 volt, 3 amp outputs, and one common 5 volt, 3 amp output. Oh, well, up to 5 volts. So it's 0 to 5 volts, 0 to 30 volts, and 5 volts, 3 amps. And you'll notice that it actually tells you there that these two are common. So your third channel, unfortunately, is not isolated like it was on the ATEN power supply, for example. But for most usage scenarios I can think of, that's not a huge deal. For me, it's at least you've got that one independent floating supply output. So more than good enough. So you know, that'd rarely be a limitation for anyone not having a true independent isolated output there. But anyway, let's power this thing on. As I said, do not like this keypad arrangement at all. That is just, it's ridiculous. The keys are angled down like this. It's horrid. Look at that. It's just awful. Look, no, wrong, fail. But anyway, it should be a lot easier to use than that pain in the ass ATEN power supply. Anyway, here we go. First time powering up. Hopefully the magic smoke doesn't escape. And first thing I notice is I can hear the fan. Oh, there we go. We've got green. Green screen immediately pops up there. And yeah, the fan, it's certainly, you can hear it. Yeah, whether or not we'll load it down later, and obviously it'll go, I think it'll go louder than that. I'm sure it's a temperature controlled fan in this thing. But here you go, nice triple output display here. And it looks like, because we haven't switched it on, then they're not showing anything here at all. But I like how it's got channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, and that corresponds to these channels over here. I mean, I would have preferred to, of course, had these buttons associated just above the, above the actual outputs that they're related to there, but at least they're lined up. Channel 3 is that one, channel 2 is that one, channel 1's that one. But as I said, in the 832A model, the high-end model that you pay over $700 for, they don't have this display, this nice vertical column-based display like that. They've got it like segmented into some stupid triple display like that. I don't know. I don't like it at all. I much prefer this one. So that's quite nice. And apparently you can change the color on this. And they've got a lot of info here. I really like it. They've got the voltage, the current, and the power. And you'll notice that we've only got 10 millivolts resolution there and 10 milliamps resolution on the current. That's because I haven't installed that high res option yet. So we should, when we install that software option, get an extra digit on both of those. And I reckon that's not for everyone, but I reckon it's a good thing, and I reckon it's probably worth the extra $90 to get that. All right, now let's just let's have a play around with this thing. First thing I'm going to do is switch the channel on. There we go, and yeah, they lit up. That is very, very bright. I like that. And you turn them all on. Fantastic, and it looks like it's reading back the voltage. That one's giving us a 1 there, so there's a least significant, small least significant digit there, error there, not a big deal. And then we can select, yeah, that selects, those buttons select, very good. It highlights it with that rectangle. That's all nice, and presumably, can you just, set, here we go. There we go, so we're just changing our voltage there by default. See, this knob doesn't stick out far enough. You can't get your fingers on there. Your fingers are hitting these buttons. No wonder they angled them in. Why didn't they just make the knob bigger? I mean, I can barely get my fingers on that. And I don't have big fingers either. That's ridiculous. Unbelievable. And at least they did put these little flanges on here, so then you've got some grip when you can spin it like that. And anyway, it is going up by default in 10 millivolt increments. There's some lag there. Look, it doesn't read. It doesn't update that until I let it go. So as I'm turning that, it should. I don't like that. I'd like to have I'd like to at least have that update as fast as this. If I go slow, it does. But look, if I go fast, it doesn't keep up. I don't like that. They need to fix that in software. Now, the other thing, of course, is that there is no velocity knob control there. So it's just linearly increasing as I go up. I'd like to see some velocity control. Thank you very much. Now, I do really like the information on this display and how they've laid it out. I don't think they could do any better here. I mean, we've got the measured output voltage, we've got the measured output current, we've got the measured output power with 1 milliwatt resolution. Fantastic. We've got our set voltage down here, we've got a set current. These are quite small. I mean, maybe if you haven't got good eyesight, you wouldn't be able to see those from a distance, but I can certainly read those just from maybe a meter away, without having to sort of squint and concentrate. But they are a bit small, but they've tried to jam as much information on here as possible, and they have made these ones bigger and given them that 7-segment display look, and they do look really good. The decimal point in there is tiny. That's really hard to see, but that's fixed actually. So really, it's not a huge deal. But yeah, I do really like how they've done this, and that is really easy to use and adjust the voltage on all 3 of those channels. By default, it just jumps over to the voltage, and I presume if you press this, it doesn't switch to the current. No, there we go. You can go up and down. There we go. This one scrolls across and selects the digit that you turn in, obviously. So if you want to go for upper voltage limit reached, that's our voltage threshold. Our voltage limit. And yeah, but at least that's pretty easy to use. Like, you don't have to shift key anything. You just select, and it inverse highlights the individual digit and then just goes up. So that's not too bad at all. And the good thing is it does actually remember where you position that for each channel. So I've positioned the cursor on the 10 millivolt position there, and it remembered that. I positioned the cursor on the 100 millivolt position there, and I've positioned the cursor on that one. So it remembers when you swap between channels. Let's see if it remembers when you power down. Maybe not. I doubt it. I'd be surprised if it did, but at least it remembers it when you're powered on, which is great. Doesn't take a huge amount of time to power on, and no, it reset. And I thought that you would like press these for voltage or current or something. Of course, you don't. These keys over here. It's here. If you want to adjust your current, there it is. And once again, it remembers that you're in that current set position for that range. So that could be annoying or incredibly useful depending on what you actually wanted to do at the time. But I really like that. That's easy. Voltage, current, these things are always here on the menus by the looks of it. And then you can use your knob to adjust that. And once again, the 832 does come standard with 1 millivolt set resolution here. So that's pretty good for the base model $400 unit. I really like that. But once again, no key, no velocity key there, but you can actually go in and switch the digit like that if you really want to. But that works well. I'm happy with the user interface for a change. It beats the crap out of that piece of shit at-end power supply, that's for sure. Now what does this button here do? It looks like it's a timer or something. Going, hey, wanky dials, look at that. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. With like a dashboard display. Oh no, I don't think, oh, you dedicated a button to that? Unbelievable. Now let's check the tracking capability here of presumably the two channels. I mean the 5 volt 3 amp one's independent, so it'll track between channels 1 and 2. So we're selected 2 here at the moment. I don't know why. Let's just randomly select 2. Turn tracking on. Check that out. We've got a little link there to show that they're actually that they're tracked. And if we adjust, can we adjust voltage? Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go. We're doing it on channel 2, and if we do it on channel 1, no, the channel is tracking, state, setting cannot be modified. Okay, so it looks like you've got to use channel 2 there. And if we have a look at the overcurrent protection here, there we go, it's selected that, and we can change that with 1 milliamp resolution. Excellent. So if you want to protect your circuits, which you should, of course, then no Chinglish, by the way, popping up, overcurrent protection, upper limit, you know, that's all right, not a problem. Did they have an extra digit on there? Yep, I think they did. Anyway, that works quite well. So if you want to protect your circuits from overcurrent, excellent feature. And it looks like it's the same with the over voltage protection. I like that you can just toggle it like that. Press it once, twice, toggle it off and on, and it highlights. I really like the highlighting function of that. And there you go, you can set your upper voltage as well. For example, a lot of people ask, you know, why do you need something like this over voltage, over current protection? Well, what happens if you've got this power supply, okay, powering your brand new $100,000 prototype board, powering the 3.3 volt rail directly, and you've got, you know, massive expensive chips on there, and you can blow up the whole thing if some idiot just comes along and bumps the knob or something like that, or does something. Well, you know, bingo, you're blowing up your $100,000 board, and they're going to sack your ass, you know. Well, this just allows you, if you're powering 3.3 volts, you might say put 3.4 volts in there, set it, and then if some idiot comes, like, let's go in there, oh, look, we haven't even tried to enter a value in yet. We probably should try and use this stupid let's say 3.4 volts. There we go. Okay, there we go. So we've set our upper limit to 3.4 volts. So now, if some idiot like me comes along and we try and change our voltage of channel 2 here, overcurrent protection, yeah, there we go. It just automatically switched it off. There it is. So there we go. Let's turn it on. There we go, because we haven't reached our limit. There it is, 3.3. So if we go up to 3.4, if we accidentally, there we go, it switched it off and we've protected our board. Excellent. So those sort of features can be an absolute lifesaver over voltage and over current protection for when you're first powering up a prototype or you're powering a really expensive thing. You don't want to blow the arse out of it if you have a brain fart. And it doesn't matter if somebody else comes along and twiddles it, you can do it yourself, you know. Accidentally choose, you know, if you've got channel 1 selected and you're meant to turn channel 2 and your brain wasn't in gear and you adjusted the value on channel 1 and you blew up your board. Oh, so these features can help you do that. Over voltage, over current protection, and they're there right at your fingertips where you need them. I really like this user interface. They've thought about that, and we haven't tried that yet. All on, enable all outputs. Oh, there we go. You can't just switch them on willy-nilly. You've got to go, okay, whether or not you want that. There we go. Our overcurrent protection is just switched on, and so, well, our over voltage protection just switched on. And I just restored the factory defaults here, and presumably you can preset things. So, you know, preset favorite outputs and stuff like that, probably under the store function here we'll take a look at. But here we go, like, you know, this is it. I mean, this is how easy it is to use. Turn on channel 1, press that, and we've got voltage mode, and then say we wanted 10 volts, we could enter 10, and then just go boom. And then if we enter, what if we go 1.9 and then press amps? There you go. You don't even have to switch between these mode buttons here. It knows. That's clever. That's clever. I really like that. Someone was thinking there. Excellent. And by the looks of that little key lock on there, key lock symbol there, we're going to be able to lock out the keypad, which is another thing you want to do when you've set this thing up, you're powering a critical prototype, don't want anyone to dick around with it. Then presumably we can do that. It's in there somewhere. We may not get around, but look, here's our internal C drive. There we go. We can store all our different states. We'll have to have a play around with that, but here we go. Yeah, brightness, check it out. Haven't even, it's by default, it's 50% brightness. So let's adjust the brightness. Oh yeah, it's brighter. May as well put it up maximum. And you can adjust the contrast too. Wow. All right. Whoa, look at that. Whoa. RGB lumen, right? RGB luminosity. What's that? Oh, there we go. That's the backlight. That's the backlight. I don't like that at all. All right. Can we get out of that? We're in waveform mode. Ta-da! There's our triple waveforms. Fantastic. Rolling waveforms. You can probably barely see the trace, but you can see that one up there because I've set it. That's really nice. We'll have to have a good play around with that, but I like that. That's excellent. And then, yeah, it looks like, yeah, you can swap between the 3 channels that you want to set. Ah, beautiful. So voltage, current, and power waveform, rolling waveform graphs. Fantastic. Oh, I got to admit, that's not the easiest way to get in there. I guess it's okay once you get used to it, but it's not really a good way to dial that in. Stupid dial mode. See, why can't you program that dial mode to get into waveform mode? Who the hell wants dashboard dial mode? You've got to be kidding me. That should be like the waveform button. That's just ridiculous. So I'm not too happy with that. Not a showstopper, of course. Nothing like it. And custom GUI. Whoop. Oh, there we go. That's obviously the boot message, I guess. Yeah, it looks like you can customize a boot message there. Okay, you do probably want that RGB luminosity because that's the background. Look, you can see that, you know, if you turn it right down, then of course all your borders and everything go away. But you don't want that. I like the fact that it's, yeah, well, that's just silly to have it up like that. So really, you probably want that set to your 50% mode, and then the display mode, you can go in, theme, and you can just choose your different color scheme. I don't know, I like the green. Let's try the blue, well, white. Some people might like white. Let's check that out. There we go. Oh, dunno. But anyway, it's good that you can actually choose the option. Blue, no, I think green's probably the pick there. Actually, you do probably want to drop that luminosity value down a bit because, let's put it to 40, for example. There we go, because that will determine how like faded those those disabled options are. Let's go into our utility menu, see what we've got here. Lots of options, printer stuff, languages. There's that key lock option. You can set that. Let's go to system. What do we got? Power on option. Default. How do you change that? Oh, there we go, last. Okay, so that will be the last. I presume that will boot up to the last value, I'm guessing. And yep, I just confirmed that by turning off and on, it goes back. Although it doesn't restore, by default, doesn't restore the channels on, which I guess is a good safety measure, but it does restore to your previous voltage. Otherwise, it defaults to 0. And you can turn the keypad beeper off and on, but I really like, it's a very subtle, low noise beep on this thing, just enough to give you that tiny audible feedback. I really like that. Very non-intrusive. And it's got a screensaver. Ugh. And for those playing along at home, there's my digital version. Presumably that's, you know, the firmware version inside, and that's my serial number. If we go into the second option screen here, we've got a test cal menu, and that shows us the last time it was calibrated. That would have been the factory calibration. The 1st of July 2013, the top board, bottom board, presumably there's 2 boards in this, and it shows the current temperature as well. So there you go, and we can manual cal, but we probably shouldn't do that. Password, okay, yeah, let's not go in and calibrate this thing, shall we? Now, if we go into options here, here's our software options, I believe, and aha, look at this. By default from the factory, it's installed a trial Tyrol license. I think it's trial left time. We've got some Chinglish. Had to get it somewhere. Love it. Tyrol trial time left. I presume that's 35 hours and 30 minutes left for the analyzer option, which we haven't looked at yet, the monitor option we haven't looked at, and I don't have any LAN, RS-232 or trigger or the accuracy options. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go install my license option. Let me go to the web and get my license key and enter it in and see if, how do you get back? There we go. See if we should get an extra digit resolution on there. So our decimal point should shift over. We should get 1 millivolt resolution and 1 milliamp current resolution as well. And just before I install that license code, I'll just check the accuracy of this thing. Now, I don't expect the license code to change the accuracy at all. It only changes the resolution. The accuracy of both the 832 and the 832A, or with the option, remains the same. So there we go. It's set to do 10 volts output, 10.00. Bang on, basically. Not a problem. This one should be 5.00, and it is. Not a problem whatsoever, and the readback one, pretty, you know, it's one least significant. As long as you're within one least significant digit, you're fine, and this one should be 4 volts, and it is. No problems at all. And installing this 32-digit license key could take a while. Success. We're in like Flynn. Now I've gone back to the main screen here, and I don't automatically get the extra resolution. Maybe I've got to repower the thing or something. Aha, there we go. We got it. Yeah, just had to repower it. Bingo, 1 millivolt resolution here and 1 milliamp resolution on our current. And just for a bit more accuracy here, let's check it out. It's set to 10 volts, so 10 volts, 10 volts and 5 volts on the third channel, and it's reading back 9.991 volts, and it's actually 0.998 volts. But that's within spec because the spec is 0.05% plus 10 millivolts, I believe. So 0.005% is actually 5 millivolts of 10 volts there. So it's within spec. But, you know, I guess it's just a bit annoying when you see it set to 10 volts and you're reading back 9.991 volts. But, you got to remember, you're well within spec. And channel 2 there is closer. It's reading 10.004. We're getting 10.009. And the third channel, well, bang on to the least significant digit, 4.998. Beauty. And current accuracy, pretty much almost bang on as well, to plus minus 1 least significant digit, 1.00, 1.001. Second channel also within 1 least significant digit. And likewise on the third channel, 1 least significant digit. So accuracy of this thing, yep, well within spec. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted a precision power supply for my lab here, because, you know, I'm sick of just the crude you know, power supplies that are plus minus 1% or something on their voltage reading, you know, or something like that. No, this thing, you can set it to, you know, 5.00 volts and you're sure it's going to be there. You don't have to get your multimeter out and double check it. Very convenient, well worth having on your bench. So these precision power supplies really are like having an inbuilt, 4.5 digit precision 0.005% multimeter built in, and that's just really, really handy. I like it. Now I think the ATEN power supply, which I'm replacing this one with, had slightly better specs in theory or something, but there's not much in it at all. This thing, more than what you'd need almost in any lab. I've got to have a whinge about this because it's just useless. This help button, right? You press help, press the corresponding key. Enable or disable the output of the corresponding channel. Who would have guessed? Duh. Why bother? Seriously, why bother dedicating a key to that? It's just ridiculous. Turn all the channels, enable or disable output of all the channels. One thing I hate is wasted keys on the front, like this stupid bloody speed, make that programmable to go to, something useful instead of that stupid thing. And the help button, give me a break. But that being said, I'm not left for wanting much on this front panel layer. Yeah, I don't like this rotary dial here, but I do like the way it all works, and they've got almost every function you need at pretty much reasonably direct access. So pretty happy with the user interface, really. And I really am getting quite used to using this already. Channel 2, I want 30 volts on channel 2, thank you very much. Channel 3 there, I want 1 amp, there it is. Channel 1, I want 0.9 amps. Beautiful. So yeah, one trade-off you do get with these programmable precision power supplies is unfortunately that separate direct knob access to each voltage and current on each channel. It's a little bit harder to use now, than your traditional dumbass bench power supply, but the extra capability in this, well worth it. Let's test the angle of the screen. That's straight on there, and let's go right to the side. Doesn't vanish at all. That is excellent. From both sides, my LCD is getting in the way there, and up, look at that, very, very nice. And down, as you'd typically have it, if you had it up high on a rack or something, beautiful. Angle is fantastic. And if we go into timer mode here, like we saw on that ATEN supply, it's got a really neat programmable multi-step timer, so you can set the voltage and the current and then how many seconds, and then you can step through that, and it's going to show you a graph of how it does that up there, so you can cycle through various things. Awesome. And then you've got programmable groups in here as well. Then you've got how many cycles you can cycle through, infinite or whatever. Fantastic. You can save and read them and end the states, and looks like in a template. Fantastic. But yeah, that looks really powerful. So to program that, we just go into parameter here, and then we just choose the one we want, and then we just go down here, and then we can just go, let's say we want 1 volt in there, then okay, and then we can go over here, and let's say we want 2 volts, not a problem, and we can go through and set all these things, and it's going to show us our, this is not a live output, it's showing us how we've set it up. And you've got no shortage of the number of steps on here. Geez, where's the limit? Well over 100. That's good enough. Actually, this damn thing's got so many options. I don't think I'm going to have time to play around with it now. Crazily powerful. And if we press this button here, we get into the various tools that are available. And you remember the analyzer and the monitor had that trial license key installed. And let's go into the monitor here. We can set up and or conditions for various voltage, current, and power, and then do certain stuff. We can switch the output off, we can warn, we can have the beeper go off. Fantastic. And by the way, we did get a cow certificate with this, but no measurements or anything like that. But hey, better than nothing. And we also got 3 spare fuses and the terminal output block as well. Nice, just in case you buy that option, and well, you don't have to go buy the connector. Beauty. Now let's see what happens when we load this thing down. I've got 50 watts constant load here. Let's switch that on, and bam, there we go. Oh, look at that, 49.996, not a problem. Beautiful, 49.94, very nice. And constant resistance mode here. This is our power supply killer mode, 1 ohm, pretty horrible. So let's 30 volts, 3 amps here. Let's see what happens. Oh, there we go, we're hiccuping. But yeah, there's no like relay switching or anything. Nothing seems to be going, you know, well, let's turn it off and it's recovered. Not a problem at all, but showing a residual 21 milliwatts there. Look at that. But yeah, no, that's not killing this thing at all. No, I stand corrected. I do hear very, very faint relay clicking, about 2 or 3 hertz or thereabouts, or 2, well, you know, probably in line with how it's doing that. So very, very low noise on the internal relays in there, but they're certainly switching away. No, and of course that recovered just nicely. Haven't killed it. Beautiful. Survives the power supply killer. Awesome. And I've got it drawn a total external load here at the moment of 176 watts, and it's barely even breaking a sweat. But yes, the fan does get louder, but still not hugely loud though. I like it. And let's take a look at the power supply noise here. It's supposed to be around 2 volts peak to peak, but I'm getting around 4 millivolts peak to peak. But that's nothing wrong with the power supply. That's my lab lights here, so let me switch those off, as I've done in a previous video. That's a common mode noise pickup, so there we go. Switched it off, and yep, it's around that 2 millivolt peak to peak figure. 20 megahertz bandwidth limit, of course. You'll always do this around 20 megahertz bandwidth. And it's supposed to be around 350 microvolts RMS, but really you've got to dick around properly to try and measure this, and it's down around the 500-600 microvolt figure. I'm sure it meets the spec. I'm not going to dick around trying to absolutely get rid of every noise in this system possible just to measure that. It's good enough. This is a pretty low noise power supply. And let's see that noise with and without a 40 watt load. That's no load at all, and I'm about to connect a 40 watt resistive load. No drama. And we'll measure the switch on transient performance with that 40 watt resistive load. Here we go. I'm going to switch on channel 1. And bang, that's beautiful. No overshoot or anything. Fantastic. That's at 20 milliseconds per division. Great stuff. And the same transient response with no load at all. Boom. There it is. And the third channel with 5 volts and no load. Let's see what happens. Switch it on. And bang, not a problem. And just to make sure it does absolutely nothing, let me reset that when I switch it on, because it should default to off up here. So let's switch that on. Oh no, look at that. It has actually switched on 2 volt. We've gotten 2 volts on our output there. Let me try that again at a slower time base. Wow, look at that. What's going on there? Look at this. When it switches on, for 250 milliseconds, we're getting 1 volt per division. We're getting 1.5 volts on that output. Isn't that very curious? Let me see what happens if I can do the same thing with a load on there, with a 10 ohm resistive load. Here we go. No, there we go. There we go. Just some ringing there. Nothing at all. It's nothing doing there at all. But with no load, let's repeat that. With no load, switch off and switch on. Whoa, there you go. There's no grunt behind it, I don't think, but really, that's Rigol. Please explain. And I'll try the second channel now. Let's switch that on. And look at this. It goes negative 0.4 volts. Not a huge deal, right? There's this huge spike here. I mean, but that's, there's nothing doing there at all. I think if we load that down, we're not going to see anything there at all. So let's put our load on there, shall we? And do that again. And there we go. We've got a 10 ohm load on there. And, oh, no, we're still getting our transient. Let's see if we can capture that transient again with the load on here, 10 ohm load, channel 2, and bingo, look at that. With a 10 ohm load, we've captured that transient. Look at that, and that goes up to 1, 2, 3, 4-volt transient at switch on. I wonder what's happening. It's not a, it's not like it's jumping up to 30 volts or something horrendous like that, but yeah, geez. All right, there we go. Mental note that, if you're powering critical boards, don't hook them up before you, when you switch it on like that. There's not a huge overload there. Channel 1, there didn't seem to be any power in that at all. It went away when we put the load on, but so I certainly don't class that as a showstopper at all, but it's certainly just worth considering, and probably worth getting an answer from Rigol on that one. I mean, channel 1 just shoots to 1.5 volts for, a couple of hundred milliseconds there, and the other, channel 2, did that really weird impulse there going up to 4 volts when you switched it on, even though the outputs weren't on at all. And the output binding posts look and feel decent quality. Yes, they do have the standard spacing, of course, and they don't come off, so you can't lose them or somebody can't steal it. They do have the hole in there for putting your wire through, and the metal back in just on there, so you can just put spade lugs around there as well, and it's going to work a treat. So there you have it. That's just a first impression, first play around with this Rigol 832 power supply, and I'm very, very impressed. It's a Bobby Dazzler, it really is, an absolute beauty. And very happy to replace that heap of crap Aten I had with this one. The usability is excellent. Yeah, I still don't like the looks of it, but nah, how this thing works, it just works as I expect the damn thing to work, and I couldn't kill it, and its performance is pretty good, its spec is awesome, and yeah, some people aren't going to like the fact that they software cripple this thing, but they've priced the options pretty well, I think. And, I didn't mind paying the extra to get that high-res option on this thing. And you can install it at a later date if you find you need the digital outputs for, some sort of system automation or something like that. You need the LAN capability, or you just buy the software option and you get it. So, I don't know. Some people like it, some people don't. But if it means that I get this high-end power supply for $400 or whatever, and then pay an extra $90, sub $500 for that $500 power supply to get a triple output precision power supply like that, it's awesome. So much so, I don't know why anyone would probably buy the 832A, because, well, it's got a color display, and but the display, in my opinion, is not as usable as this one. I really like the display on this one's an absolute beauty. It's a little bit small to read from a distance, but it's all there, and it integrates really well with the usability as thing. But you can buy this base unit, the 832, for just over $400, and just get the options. So I don't know why you'd buy the 832A. Anyway, I think there might be some other subtle differences, but really, I don't think it justifies paying the extra $300 or $350 or whatever it is. So this one's definitely going to get a lot of use here in the lab. I really like it, and it's going to become my main supply, no doubt about it. Yeah, sorry, I didn't have time to look into, like, it comes with the software and everything, and how you hook it up and control it from the PC and all that sort of stuff. There's all the monitor modes I didn't go into. Monitor, analyzer, recorder modes, all that sort of jazz. Man, I could spend a couple of hours video just playing around with those, I think. But first impressions are, this is a really, really nice supply. I don't know what else on the market is probably challenging it. There is a Siglent one, which is a similar sort of big color graphical display. That's how they're all sort of going these days. But yeah, I really like this one. It's going to take some beating at that $400 price point. Beauty. Catch you next time.